All right, Matt Simons along with Evan Giddings, and we're joined by Mark Willard and F.P. Santangelo. It is the crossover, and the Warriors coming off a nice win. There's no other way to put it. Beat Dallas at home, guys. Steph and Clay did not shoot it well. Young guys came through along with Wiggins and Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. And now I'm convinced that the only reason there's not more optimism about the Golden State Warriors is because of the damn play-in scenario and the fact that you just can't assume they're going to the playoffs.
You lost me at now I'm convinced. Will you say that again? Now I'm convinced that what?
Now I'm convinced that one of the reasons there's not more enthusiasm right now for the Warriors
because they're playing. Okay.
Is because they're at 10 rather than even, as Evan would say, 7 or 8.
Coming off the best win of the year, too.
My mind went sideways because that's what we do after every game.
Yeah.
Now I'm convinced. I don't know. And FP disagrees with me, but as of a few weeks ago, I stopped getting convinced of anything based on what happened last night.
Dude, the roller coaster's fun. Jump on it. It's fun.
It is. Yeah.
Get on it.
I'm not on it.
Get your arms in the air.
I'm just
put them both up in the air.
Wave them like I just don't care.
No, ride the roller coaster. This is great.
I'm riding.
Awesome.
I'm just not coming in the next day with a new narrative.
Oh.
I mean, even if the Warriors,
that's silly.
Even if the Warriors, even if the Warriors were like 20-40. Okay. And they ripped off 25 of 30 to make the 10 seed. You just can't assume they're going to win 2 play-in games.
No, I would argue more people would assume that they won't.
If Draymond's playing like Draymond's playing, they're going to win those games.
He played great.
I just love him going hard to the rim, man. I love him just like putting his head down, layups now. He's trying to score. The defensive play last night, he's all over the place. Yeah. Everybody's ripping him. He loves it. He's right in his element. He's flipped the switch, and here they go.
Just for fun, because we don't know how this is going to go, but just for fun, because it's 2 weeks from tonight. Is the 9-10 game. It's 2 weeks from tonight.
Whatever. Take the numbers off.
But if they're in L.A.
It's a game. It's a big game.
Right.
April Madness.
If they're in L.A. for that game 2 weeks from tonight, your confidence level that they will win that game against that opponent is what?
After last night, super duper high.
Okay. FP's is super duper high. Yeah, Evan?
That they'll win the 9-10 matchup.
Against the Lakers in L.A.
In L.A.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably about the same as it was 2 weeks ago.
Which is what?
Well, they went in to beat the Lakers in L.A., but they did it after Anthony Davis got hurt in the first quarter.
Right.
It was a coin flip.
So we injure him again.
Well,
you think
they injure him again.
You think it's 50-50?
Yeah.
Steiny?
Well, nothing's going to change my mind on the difficulty it's going to be to win 2 games on the road, whether they rip off 6 of their next 7 to get in,
right,
or whether they load manage down the stretch because they know they're locked into the 10th seed. It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. 2 coin flips.
I'm thinking of it specific to that matchup, though.
And I don't like that either.
And I feel like it's not a coin flip because I feel like it's less than 50-50.
Dude, if you got
a bad matchup for them.
What about momentum? But there's no load management here. You got to keep it rolling right into like Los Angeles.
You know what the Warriors are in their last 10 games?
Then you beat LeBron and make them a Warrior.
You know what they are in the last 10 games? They're 7-3. You want to know what the Lakers are in their last
22-10 in their last 30.
And you know what the Lakers are in their last 10 games? They're 7-3. The Warriors do not have momentum over the Lakers.
Tough one against the Wizards.
And
they have momentum. Period.
But DNA, same. Lakers. Like that's what I keep saying. It's just. I know we think they're special because they're special. They're special to us. But the Lakers are all of the same things. They're all of those two. They're champions. They're playing well. They're all those things. And they're huge. They're all 7 feet, it looks like, when the Warriors play them.
So let's say they were able to get past the Lakers. Because part of it to me is it's just winning 2 games, like 2 elimination games with 1 day of rest, essentially.
Yep.
I think that's the more daunting part of this than the Lakers themselves. So let's say they get past L.A. and they match up with
either Phoenix or Sacramento.
So Phoenix or Sacramento. You feel like that's better than 50-50 or less or the same or
then it moves a little bit more toward 50-50. I base that on the actual matchup. God, sign me up if they go to Sacramento for 1 game for one of those teams to go to the playoffs.
I would love to
that
see
game.
that. I want to.
Oh
that's the
God,
one I want to see. Because
that would be
that could
for the
set
ages.
the Kings back 5 years.
Yes, it could. Right, because the pressure.
That's what I want to see.
But the
Not signing Sabonis, but
the pressure would all be on them.
Exactly.
Yeah, Phoenix is like, I don't know. They look like the whole season they're just in a fog.
Right.
But you're right. Sacramento would freak the bleep out if they're hosting the Warriors for one game to go to the playoffs.
Give it to me though.
And no Malik Monk.
Right.
yeah, that hurts.
Give me the Lakers and the Kings. See if you can beat both those teams on the road. Let me throw the road home thing. I know there's been a difference this year. They're better on the road than at home. That doesn't matter, right? In terms of what happens in the play-in. Like you'd still rather if I gave you the 9 right now, you're taking the 9.
Oh,
right?
Yes. But you're right that I don't know that would change my confidence level in them winning 2 games.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Like I'd still think it's going to be tougher to win 2 road games than if they were at home, even if they played better on the road the whole season.
Yeah.
I still think you want those games at home.
The difference is being in the 7-8 versus the 9-10.
Right.
That's what they probably needed.
Like no team has ever made a run from 8 or 9 or 10.
What was Miami last year?
Miami was a 7, but
They were 7?
So
they
lost
the first game to Atlanta.
Right, they lost the first game.
Which forced them to
But
be
that's
ready.
kind of the point.
Yep.
Is
You got a little
Miami had a game to play with at 7. You have
Like they made a run to the finals, but if they were the 9 or 10, they would have just been out.
right.
exactly.
Like so, and that's I don't know if the Warriors are that kind of team, but hypothetically, this team could be momentum-driven FP and have a finals run in them, but they just won't get a chance because you got to be perfect right off the bat. Like you don't have a game to play with. If you lose game 1, you're done. Like if you lose they lost game 1 in sack last year, right? Done. Season's over. That to me is the more. I think that's why maybe people are less leaning in on the dark horse potential of the Warriors than anything else.
No, I get that. Stop making sense.
Talking
That's not what we're supposed to do.
And sports doesn't make sense. Like I was with you yesterday for half of your perspective, and for those who weren't listening, what's the matter with you?
Shame on you.
And and secondly,
Great show.
Secondly,
Best show ever.
FP is you're very much like this is the Warriors, and yes, they could go on a run. Like,
Yeah.
you believe in this whole thing.
I do.
I can't rule that out. It's sports. I'll never, ever watch sports that way like a lot of people do. We're just like, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Like, no, it might. It might. I doubt it.
It doesn't matter what we think, though.
No doubt.
It
It
doesn't
matters
matter.
what those guys in the
No,
room
but it-
think.
but it matters-
It matters what the coach that's coming on at 4 o'clock thinks.
It matters
Yeah.
to us what we think. And he's had to push back to about 5, just to let everybody know.
Hey, I didn't get that text.
No, their plane was delayed.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, their plane was delayed.
Oh, no. Mechanical
Yeah.
issues?
Yeah. So we just flip-flopped them. You
So
know
they're
who
not going
else
to have
is-
much rest against Houston.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sleep when you're dead.
Steve Kerr is going to come on, and so is Kyle Harrison's dad.
Hey,
All right.
Yeah, Chris Harrison. Not the Bachelor one.
Oh, yeah. He's
Not him.
He got canceled.
you teach him how to
okay.
throw 95.
Yeah, right?
The one
now,
thing.
now it's the Jesse Palmer.
Is that hit?
Yeah,
I don't-
$2.6 million to come out and say, here is the final rose. $2.6
How
million.
do you know?
I
what?
Googled it.
How do you know what his salary is?
He comes in, he goes, there's 1 rose left. And then he turns around and walks out, $2.6 million.
That's all Chris Harrison did.
Yeah, well,
When did he get canceled?
we're doing the wrong gig.
FP's locked
What
in,
did
man.
Chris
I
get?
love this.
Yeah.
let
FP
Yeah, he said something about
FP's
one of the
kids are grown.
contestants went to a party in college that was inappropriate racially, and he defended her, and then he was canceled.
Oh, he defended her.
Yeah.
Okay.
On some podcast or something.
Got it.
So
We're all doomed.
Gotta be
yeah.
Back to the Warriors.
Gotta
Sorry.
be careful.
Yeah.
That was brought to you by Adderall.
So you
Or not.
and when I leave here, I don't hear the show. Then I turn the show on. So you may have hit this because you were bringing this up yesterday, but it's almost impossible to talk about the Warriors now without talking about the now and then what's going to happen in 3 weeks. Wiggins is playing well. Kuminga has not been playing. Like Steve Kerr said earlier in the year, we've forgotten about it, but he said there's a lot of redundancy there. They're kind of the same player. And it's just got me to thinking more about maybe one of those two, maybe they can't play together. Kuminga and Wiggins.
Oh.
And then what?
We're going to look at it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Again.
Does he just go back into the starting lineup?
Depends. I would guess two things. Or you're talking about just like the lineup.
Yeah.
Can't wait till 5 o'clock.
Clay goes back to the bench. No.
Well, it depends on what they consider.
You can ask Steve.
A ramp up.
Yeah.
What's the ramp up? Like a lot of times, guys are like, "Oh, okay, it's going to take a minute."
This late in the season, though.
I don't know. They did it with. Wiggins' minutes were severely lessened, and he missed 4 games.
He did.
How many does Kuminga missed?
Well, but Wiggins also started right off the bat.
But then they put him on the bench and left him there.
With no injury.
Correct.
Right.
So maybe there's a ramp up, and that allows them to get a little look-see at how everybody, because there have been 2 completely different chapters. There was 30 games where they couldn't play together, and then there have been, kind of like 30-some-odd games where they can.
Yeah.
But now it's like the final dress rehearsal for can they be long-term teammates together? And is that what you want to do? And all of that stuff. I don't know. I mean, what was been ringing in my head is what I've heard you say, FP, probably no less than 5 or 6 times whenever you come on these shows with us in recent weeks about fan bases sort of feeling like they're owed championship runs and that it doesn't work that way. And I started scrolling today through the Warriors' playoff history because I grew up in an era where you not only could you not assume championship contention, you couldn't even assume playoff contention. You couldn't even assume playoffs. They went I turned 16 in 1991. They won a first-round playoff series. They did not win another playoff series until the We Believe team, and I was 32. Okay? They went from my driver's license
so funny.
to my kid, the birth of my child, without winning a playoff series. And we're somehow now at an age where we're just allergic to the idea of just watch the game. The Warriors might not contend for a while. They can be good-ish. You can tweak, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me of championship contention with the roster like it is or what's available in the offseason. Just on paper, which is not where sports is played, but describe to me how and when the Warriors are going to actually be title contenders again soon.
I just think you're a victim of your own success. Giants fans were long-suffering Giants fans forever until 2010. It was anything that could go wrong is going to go wrong. Getting back to Dusty taking the ball from Russ Ortiz and everything that happened with Willie McCovey lining out in Game 7 against the Yankees. And then all of a sudden, 3 championships happened, and now anything but that's unacceptable, which is fine.
Well,
and then the Warriors happened, and now we expect that the championships grow on trees. And if it's not a championship, the season is a failure. There's a lot of people that think the 49ers season was a failure this year. They got to the Super Bowl and didn't win it. Screw them. What happened? They suck. Because now, because of all the championships and all the sports, in this region especially, I feel like a lot of fans are addicted to that. And you want your fan base to have high expectations. But I think we can all rationalize that those things are really hard to come by.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. That's interesting to me because I think we're now at the point with the Giants, they're so far, they're 10 years removed from their last title, that now there is excitement again about, can we get back to the postseason? I'm trying to think back to 2016. So 2015, was that when Posey got hurt? And they had a bad year?
No, it was earlier.
Okay. So 15, they didn't have a good...
11 or 13. It was 11.
Yeah,
okay,
so 11.
So they won in 14, then they didn't make the playoffs in 15. They come back in 16, and the Cubs beat them.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm trying to remember if that was devastation or not, or if people looked at that. Now it's because 10, 12, 14, they're back to the playoffs in 16. They don't win. They lose in the playoffs. Did we know then it was over?
No. No, they were. I mean, they had the lead. If you remember the way it went.
Not really.
Game 4, they had the lead. They blew it in the 9th inning. They were about to set up Game 5 back at Wrigley Field, which was going to be pitched by Johnny Cueto, who was pitching his butt off at that time. Like, it was probably the Cubs were going to be in a very fearful spot, and then they went in the 9th inning and blew the game. And the Cubs won it 3 out of 4. But no,
when did we know that iteration of the Giants was done?
You're trying to relate it to the Warriors.
Yes,
right
exactly.
Now. I get where you're going.
I think that the most recent championship is the reason why, in my mind, the word contender is just thrown around so loosely with the Warriors, because there are a lot of people that wrote them off before the year, during the postseason. I know that they were the 3 seed, but like, that was an unexpected. That was a bonus championship. Nick Friedel used the term on the show today, a bonus championship. And so in 15, that was their first, but they were a 60-win team. They were a 1 seed. Like, they could have won the title. That most recent one, they were not supposed to win. And so I think everyone still is stuck in that place of, not that they're the same players, but that you can just conjure up magic and all of a sudden, boom, we're going to be right back to where we were. And so that's also the only hope moving forward for a lot of people, I think, just because you don't really see the next iteration of whatever the Warriors are going to be. And so I think that championship is what people are always in sports clinging to, the miraculous run. And that's also the reason why we love sports, right?
What if you just throw everything out and you say the Warriors are playing really good basketball right now and just leave it at that? Not worry about how Kuminga and Wiggins get along, not worry about who's getting traded or next year, not worried about what's transpired this year already, but just right now, in the moment, tell yourself they're playing really good basketball.
Couple answers on that.
And that's it.
But the first of which is, I feel like we've been down that road 7 other times already this year. And every time you go down that road, they come out and go Stinkville right in your face on your television.
They didn't last night, and you were expecting Stinkville last night.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
You were alluding to kind of sort of expecting Stinkville last night.
No, what I told you was last night was the classic game of the full polarization. And you will either come in today and go, road trip was fool's gold, or you will come in today and have streamers out of your ears and say, we going to be championship because they beat the Mavericks. And I feel like I've been given the okie doke too many times already this year. And that's not to dismiss what they're doing or who they are. It's just to say, you're not going to give me last night and a win over Charlotte and whatnot and tell me that now everything is fixed and you're a title contender.
But I hear you. And they're a victim of their own success because we're all sitting here relating it to their last championships.
But you're right on. To me, you're right on the money, and that's the way I'm trying to look at this team right now. And that is, we've found out a lot about this team. And to me, I don't want to harp on this particular, but okay, maybe we have a little thing with Kuminga and Wiggins, and they can't overlap that much. Well, if we know that right now, that's something that Steve Kerr and the coaching staff says, you know what? We're just better with one of them on the floor as opposed to, okay, well, you can take that information right now and be the best possible version of the Warriors for this point of the season. You know what I mean? Like, guess what? If we want to win, if we want to win a playoff series, if we get there, we can't really play these guys together 25 minutes a night. Okay, so how do you what about Steph Curry? Well, you know what? We're not our best Warriors if he plays 36 minutes a night anymore. He's got to play 30. And you start putting all that stuff together, then to me, I think of a team that, well, how good can they be? I don't know. I don't know how good they can be, but then let's see at least how good they can be. Can they get into the playoffs? And if they get into the playoffs and make some noise with all the growth they've done from the season, then when the season's over, I think we'll be in a better place.
What was their record?
As opposed to if they don't win a title, they're to break it up.
Regular season record 2 years ago, the 3 seed. Do you remember?
53 and 29.
53.
I mean, to Willer's point, though, this is the 4th time they've gone on a 5-game win streak this year. what happened the other 3 times? You know, like, and
but this is at the end of the season, dude, when they're getting ready to go to the playoffs. It's different than 2 months ago. They're playing their best basketball right now, 5 in a row.
They are, and
4-1 on the road trip.
But if you're just, look, I get you want to see the glass half full, but I could also say, okay, well, they've really had to work hard. Are they going to be done? Are they going to be spent by the time they get? Are they limping to the finish line, or are they racing through? I don't know if they've answered that question. I don't know if they can, because they might be fighting for the 9. They also might decide, if they win on Thursday against Houston, that we're just going to put it into second or third gear, kind of cruise and figure out how we can win 2 road elimination games. I mean, there's a lot left in front of them, but to say that they haven't been at this point before, I think is a little fool's goldish.
Well, okay.
How could you say a team's limping to the finish line if they're playing their best basketball of the year? You're talking physically? Like we're guessing how they feel and their bodies feel right now?
I mean, Steph, since the All-Star break, is shooting 40% from the field.
Are they playing their best basketball of the year?
They're playing the best defense, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they're also, and it's coincided.
They went against some of the worst offenses in the NBA when their best defensive rating has come up.
Their 4 defensive efforts against the teams from the East Coast, all those teams were bottom 10 offensively.
Yeah.
The Mavericks were 6th. So last night is why Steve Kerr kind of made reference of, last night was a good team that we.
Last night's a great game. It was a great game. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson combined for 27 points.
Well, that's the other thing. What do you make of that?
It's a lot of good and a lot of bad.
I think they're wearing down. On the other hand, is you want a game you'd never win.
Exactly.
Ever win that game in the past.
If I was to take the last 5 games and say something like really positive, it's not that I would say they're necessarily that I buy that they're playing their best basketball of the year, but they've won some games where they do not have their best pitch. I mean, Klay and Steph combined for 27. You have Orlando. Kuminga is out this whole time. Orlando, Draymond taps out 3 minutes into the game. And they won all of them.
Pods.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
No, that's great. That's a compliment. Good teams can win when you don't have your best stuff.
I'd say Draymond and Wiggins have had their best stuff, especially Wiggins the last, maybe not San Antonio.
Draymond the last 2.
Yeah. I mean,
3 games ago was not his best stuff.
Logan Webb didn't have his best stuff.
He did not have his best stuff.
So what's it say about the Giants? That means they didn't win without their best stuff.
Let me ask FP a question about that. They had an opener, the Dodgers, last night, right?
Yeah, the guy that pitched the night before.
Does that mean
with the see-through pants?
Like, okay, is there nothing to see here? You lost the 6th game of the year against the Dodgers. They're really good. Or is it, man, their opener just beat our number 1 guy right now, and that portends poorly moving into the future? Or is it just like baseball's just a one-off game and you move? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's too early in the season to tell anything right now, but I do know the Dodgers are really good and they make you work. If you watch the strike zone discipline they have and you just focus in on that little box and the amount of baseballs they swing out at outside that little box and the ones they swing at inside that little box,
dude,
like they don't chase. And if you go inside that little box and you don't have any sort of location, they're going to hammer the baseball inside that box. They don't swing at bad pitches. They grind every single at-bat. They have guys that control the strike zone better than any team. We could talk about the Braves lineup. We talk about the Phillies lineup. We talk about other lineups in baseball. The Yankees got a great lineup right now. They swing a lot at a lot of things and they strike. The Dodgers, man, when they get in that batter's box, that's their real estate. They own it, and you don't. And they're not swinging at balls; they're swinging at strikes. And if you throw too good of a strike with too much plate, they're going to hammer it.
2 things: I can't stand the box. I'm done with the box.
You don't like the box on the broadcast?
No, it ruins the viewer experience.
Yeah, I've been trained.
It makes you mad. It just makes you mad because there's no way to remove from your mind that the umpire can't see the box, and it just makes you mad at the umpire the entire game. I hate that. And then the other thing, so by the way, I won't be here Friday, so I'm doing my What's Bugging You Now.
Do it.
The box is bugging me, and the Boston Red Sox are bugging me. What the hell were they doing 4 years ago in what should go down and is not talked about enough as one of the worst baseball transactions in the absolute history of the game? Mookie Betts is impossible. He is impossible to get out. And they are the stupidest team I have ever seen in my life that they looked at him and went, we don't want to pay him at age 27. What on earth are you waiting for if you don't want to pay that guy?
Jeter Downs.
Who do you want to pay if you don't want to pay 27-year-old Mookie Betts?
Giants fans should hate the Red Sox.
I do.
You can tell that's what's coming. Yeah. Hey, Steve Kerr coming up at 5 o'clock with Willard and F.P. Santangelo. Make sure you ask him who's starting tomorrow.
Who's starting?
On 95.7.